Hello, my dear students. Welcome back to another session with Miss C. This week, we're going to take a look at sentences and fragments. First, we want to question ourselves and ask, what makes a sentence a sentence? So let's start with that review. What is a complete sentence? What makes a sentence a sentence? Well, a sentence is made up of these three important parts. 1, a subject. 2, a verb. And thirdly, a complete thought. These three things must be part of the group of words so as to consider it a sentence. We do want to remember that we want to capitalize the first word in the sentence, the first letter, and we do want to end with a punctuation, right? Talking about punctuation, depending on the type of sentence, that is the punctuation that you will use. In first form, they probably went over what it means to write a declarative sentence, an exclamatory, an imperative, and an interrogative sentence. To remind ourselves, declarative sentence basically are statements. They end with a full stop. Exclamatory sentences, they express a strong emotion and they end with an exclamatory point. An imperative sentence is an order, right? An instruction that is given. So these types of sentences also end with a full stop, but sometimes they end up with an exclamation mark. And lastly, the interrogative sentence. The interrogative sentence is there for questioning, right? So the questions fall under interrogative sentences. That is the review for the sentences. Now, we want to take a look at what a fragment is. A fragment. What is a fragment? A fragment is a group of words that lacks, that doesn't have, that means it has it missing, that has a part missing. It either has the subject missing, or the verb, or the complete thought. And sometimes two things are missing, right? So a fragment is an error. It's a mistake that people do in their writing because we want to write complete sentences, right? And if we have a subject missing, that means that this is not a complete sentence. That means that it's something that's wrong, right? So think of fragments as errors, and errors because they have something missing. They have the subject missing, the verb missing, or a complete thought. And sometimes they have two things, right? Two things missing. But once they have one of them missing, it's already a fragment. Let's take a look at the example here under a subject. So a fragment can be a fragment if it has a subject missing. Remember that subjects are made up of nouns or pronouns. So the first example says running up the stairs. That is an incomplete thought. That is a fragment because it doesn't have a subject. Who is running up the stairs? We really don't know, right? And that should not happen when you write complete sentences. Example number 2, start after the weekend. Who is starting after the weekend? Or what is starting after the weekend? We don't know, right? That is a fragment because it has a subject missing. Example number 3, going to second form this year. Who's going to second form this year? There is no subject also in this group of words. That means all of these examples here are fragments. All of them are wrong. Why are they wrong? Because they have a subject missing. Secondly, you can have a fragment if it lacks a verb. That means it doesn't have an action. Example number 1 says, Jason, the student from second form. What about Jason, the student from second form? What is he doing? Is there a state of being or is there an action? No, right? There is no verb. That means that this group of words is a fragment because it has something missing. What does it have missing? It has the verb form missing. The other example says, some girls in the class. Some girls in the class, what are they doing? Is there an action? Is there a state of being? Not really, right? So this group of words is a fragment because it has the verb missing. There is no action there. Where is the action? There is no action in example number 2. This is a fragment. It's an error. It's a mistake, right? Thirdly, it says the curly-haired girl under the mango tree. It looks like a long group of words, right? It looks like a sentence, but it's not really a sentence because it has a verb missing. There is something lacking there. And because it doesn't have a verb, then this group of words is also a fragment. The third way you can end up with a fragment is by having an incomplete thought. That means that it has maybe a subject, maybe has a verb, but it cannot stand on itself because there is a lot of questions that are still waiting to be answered. This group of sentences are lacking a complete thought. Example number 1, because there are many assignments due. What about it? You can sense already that there is something missing, and that is what we call a complete thought. Because there are many assignments missing, what? It feels like it needs more, right? You can write an extra piece and then that would have been a complete thought. Example number 2 says, if you decide to stay home. This group of words is also a fragment because it lacks the complete thought. There is a subject, yes, there is a verb, but where is the complete thought? It says if you decided to stay home, yeah, what happens if you decided to stay home, right? There's something missing there, and that is what we call a complete thought. The last example says children walking. Children is the subject, right? Walking is an action, but there is a lack of complete thought in that sentence. What about the children walking? What are they doing? Like, these examples, as you can see, lack what we call a complete thought. So that's what fragments are. Now, we want to do a quick practice right now of differentiating between sentences and fragments. So here are 5 examples. Right now we're going to decide whether it's a sentence or a fragment. Sentence. Question number 1 says, dedicated students from Mount Carmel High School. Is this a sentence or is this a fragment? If it's a sentence, it must have a subject, verb, and a complete thought. Let's take a look at it. Dedicated students. That sounds like a subject, right? There is a subject. Check mark. Is there an action? What are the dedicated students doing? There is no action, right? Making this particular example a fragment because it has the verb missing. It has something missing out of the 3 things that we mentioned. Example number 2. Under the mango tree at school. Is there some form of subject? Yes, there is some form of subject here. The mango tree. Is there an action? There is no action. The mango tree isn't doing anything. The school isn't doing anything. This, therefore, is a fragment because it doesn't have an action. Example number 3. Amy is walking to school every day. Is there a subject here? Yes, Amy. Is there a verb? Yes, is walking. There is a compound. There is a helping verb and action verb here, right? So, there's 2 already. 2 out of the 3. Subject, verb. Is there a complete thought now? Mary is walking to school. Where is she walking to school? Complete thought. Yes. Therefore, number 3 is a sentence. It has the 3. It fulfills the 3 criteria. Number 4. Many students from Mount Carmel High School like to spend time playing Free Fire. Is there a subject? Yes, many students. Many. Now, is there a verb? Yes, there is also a verb. They like, right? Is there a complete thought? Yes, it tells you what they like. They like to spend time playing Free Fire. Therefore, number 4 is a sentence. It fulfills the 3 criteria. It has a subject, it has a verb, and it has a complete thought. The last example there, 5, it says, my favorite online teacher. Is there a subject? Yes, teacher, right? Is there a verb? Is there an action? Is there a state of being? No, right? There is no verb. Therefore, this already falls under the category of a fragment. And those are the practice examples that I have for you today. Now it's your turn, right? It's your turn to practice identifying these fragments, because they're errors. We don't want to make them. Once you've done your practice, you may do as you please. Have a blessed day, students. Bye.